Hi, my name is Mandy. I will be summarizing the article by William Cross. It is titled The Importance of Local Party Activity in Understanding Canadian Politics, Winning from the Ground Up in the 2015 federal election. And this would be found in the Canadian Journal of Political Science. So to introduce the article and to provide a little bit of context behind it, it's primarily about the role of political parties in Canadian politics. There are 338 constituencies across Canada. William Cross says that there's been a focus shift towards national activities as opposed to local activities within our constituencies. A really big point and probably the thesis of the article is that local parties play a key role within Canadian politics in gaining understanding around election time. So to summarize, political parties help with the maintenance of Canadian Federation. He says that Canada is a party country, meaning that we really rely on local parties and federal parties within Canadian elections. William Cross says that there's a large number of people who will more likely interact with local party members as opposed to federal party members. There's a lot of passionate people within Canada, including regular Canadian citizens, that play a vital role in politics, but probably would never have direct involvement within Ottawa or federal level politics. So our MPs, our elected MPs within our constituencies appeal to the voters in their area. A really big thing also is that we should be looking beyond campaign period to see what our local party members are doing to interact with the people in their area. So whether they're volunteering, making themselves known, interacting with people, showing up to community events, things like that are really important, just to interact with the everyday person in their area, gain connections, get themselves out there. A big part of the article also was women and their involvement in political parties. It's mentioned here that only about 1/4 of MPs in Canada are women, so that's only 25%. Obviously, that's quite underrepresented compared to the men in Canada. A really big part that I really liked in here was his mentioning of a personal thing that happened to him. So he brought his 17-year-old daughter to an Equal Voice event. So that was each of the parties had a representative. And then Catherine McKenna was there, and his daughter showed a lot of interest in her because she was a woman. And then he was kind of explaining to her her chances of winning an election, and she rolled her eyes and said, "We'll see." So it was just cool to see a young woman in Canada and her interest in Canadian politics and her interest in seeing women striving and thriving in the elections. So I think it just, a little thing goes to show that younger women in Canada are showing greater interest. So hopefully that changes. He talked about the differences in the amount of women who vote per party. So yeah. And then some conclusions from the article was the impressions of Canadian politics from a national level makes political understanding incomplete. So just making sure to pay attention to local level parties and how local level parties will increase understanding in politics and in democracy. So there's an emphasis on local party vitality, meaning that local parties are vital in people like me and their understanding in politics and elections, just to make sure that we all have informed decisions when it comes to voting time. And then big point is the connection between party and civil society. So my own reflection of the article would be that I agree with the author's thesis. As someone living in Alberta, I think there's a really big disconnect between us and the federal government in Ottawa. I'm assuming that a lot of Yukoners feel the same way, given that they're even more isolated than I am here in Alberta. Just geographically, there's more people down here, bigger cities down here. The north is more isolated, so I feel that probably some people feel the same way. I think that having local parties and MPs creates a sense of comfort for me personally, knowing that there's someone sticking up for us, making us feel heard, representing us as a small area within such a huge country. So that's how I look at it. Also, I think the local parties create a way for the average Joe to relate to federal issues within their specific geographical locations. So when we hear like discussions within the federal parliament, sometimes it's hard to relate it to like our area because it's different. So I think having those local parties makes it easy to imagine the issue where we are. So that helps. And so the ideas within the article reinforced my existing knowledge of the subject and how our local parties are essential in the understanding of politics at a local level. So thanks so much for listening. I'm looking forward to reading your reviews. Thanks.